What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, your Green Bay Packers podcast that is a proud partner of the Eurostep Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. Happy New Year to everybody listening, watching, however you're consuming this podcast. I'm not really sure there's any other way. We don't make it in Braille or anything or books, so I guess those are just two of the options. But happy 2024. I'm joined for the first podcast being put out by GSPN this year with my co-host Jordan Tresky. Jordan, how you doing, buddy?
Doing very well, doing very well. The Packers have won against the Minnesota Vikings, avoiding the scenario that I feared the most. And they rang in the new year, they ended the old year well, rang in the new year well.
Yeah, it was very well. An absolute dismantling of the Minnesota Vikings, 33-10 in a game that wasn't that close as the score would suggest. I believe tight end Johnny Munt caught a touchdown late in the fourth quarter, was the Vikings' only touchdown in this game. So I'm trying to see, 2 plays, 7 yards after the botched Samari Toure punt late in the fourth. So all in all, what a game. And I think we ought to not do the Eurostep and the 1-6 part of this and just talk about the star of the game, which is Jordan Love. Jordan Love, absolutely masterclass at the quarterback position today. 24-33, 256 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown to boot. No sacks, a QBR of 82.7 and a pass rating of 125.3. Just an absolute masterclass. Also, briefly shout out Sean Clifford. 100% QBR rating, 1 for 1, 37 yards. So
He threw it.
we had this discussion on the last pod for the preview, Jordan, about how we didn't give Jordan Love a cheese for his Panthers performance because it didn't feel like a good performance. He had a lot of missed throws and some stuff that was really, I guess, not inspiring. This is the complete opposite. I felt like he made every single good decision he could have made tonight. Besides just missing a couple throws here and there, which you're gonna do. But what did you think of Jordan Love's game? Because I was in awe the entire time.
Yeah, again, it's kind of this progression of what we've seen since the first Vikings game, where he is making these throws, he's looking very poised. And as we will get into, he's doing this with receivers that are not the first or second or even third wide receivers that, the leading, the big trivia question that we will refer to many years time is that the first wide receiver to have a 100-yard game under the Jordan Love era will be Bo Melton, who's not even on the team. He's a practice squad elevation guy. Like, he's not on the team and yet is balling out. These are the kind of players that he's been throwing to, especially with Christian Watson hurt. Jaden Reed will get into fantastic game, but leaves game early and has been, been affected by bumps in the chest injury for the last couple of weeks. And it's like, like Dontavion Wicks was out. Like, it's a really thin wide receiver core right now.
Yeah,
and
real thin.
It doesn't matter.
No, I think this is a bit of a disingenuous argument, but this season from Jordan Love really, accentuates does a good quarterback make good wide receivers, or do good wide receivers make a good quarterback? And right now, it's definitely Jordan Love making these wide receivers look good, because unless Brian Gutekunst is really just an absolute master at finding wide receiver talent at the 5th, 6th, 7th undrafted rounds, then it's really just Jordan Love bringing all these guys up, like rising tides lift all ships kind of thing. But yeah, when you think about how this is the youngest wide receiving group, I think since the 2000, I think it was Bengals. I think it was 2000 Bengals, and they had the most percentage of their points by first or second year guys since the 2001 Seahawks, I believe was the stat that they said on the broadcast last night. That might be flip flop of teams, but those were the years for sure. So it's been a while since we've seen a team this young do this well. But yeah, you
Um,
put it perfectly. Bull Melton is the first 100-yard receiver in the Packers 2023 season, comes in week 17. And then you have guys like Dontavian Wicks, who was a fifth round pick, I believe, and Tucker Kraft, who was their third round pick. And those are the kind of the guys making all the plays last night. Like I think Malik Heath had a few catches too, and he was an undrafted free agent.
yep.
Like just the guys we thought
Ben
coming.
Sims.
Ben Sims had a couple huge blocks, had a couple catches too. Like just it honestly is quite remarkable to be getting this kind of production out of these players. Like I'm going down the receiving stats from the box in the box score. Tucker Kraft, Bull Melton, and Jaden Reed all had 6 catches last night. They amassed, oh boy, math on a New Year's morning. 194 plus 48 would be 242
242.
242 yards, which is crazy.
Yep.
The Packers had 293 passing yards, and 242 of them came from rookies. Or I'm sorry, Bull Melton is a second year guy, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. So still just a practice squad guy in general, and a guy that you would not think was going to be contributing at all this year, and he has. Especially these last couple of weeks when there's been some tumultuous injuries, especially like you said, Christian Watson and then Jaden Reed and then on Dontavian Wicks. It's been tough sledding. So, I mean, good on Jordan Love for really bringing these guys up and putting the ball exactly where they need to be. But yeah, just again, really, really great game from Jordan Love.
Yeah. The 3 touchdowns. Yeah, the rushing touchdown, which I wasn't quite certain if that was a touchdown.
I
But
wasn't certain, like at during the play, the replay, it did show the point crossing the goal line.
I don't like that rule, but that is. I digress. I digress. Yeah. Again, I'm looking at PFF. We have the benefit of looking at PFF grades because they were released as a recording. They're his grades from the Vikings game. So the first Vikings game is kind of the inflection point this season. Talked about it a lot going into the week where like that is where the offense looked its worst. There wasn't anything to really rely on. The I'll save it for later, but like that was also when Jordan Love was getting sacked plenty. Since then, week 9 against the Rams, 83.2 grade. Gets Steelers, 74.1 grade. Chargers, 65.5 grade. Versus the Lions, 86.6 grade. Chiefs, 91.8. Giants, 58.6. Tampa Bay, 66.6. Carolina, 77.4. Minnesota last night, 90.8. So, like, yes, there are some dips, there are ups and downs. The Jordan Love is will have more time to talk about his season in full. But if we break the season up in half where he is certainly on the upswing, even with dips kind of, on this roller coaster season. I think last night, I don't feel like it was a culmination of a lot of the things that we've seen, but it just, I know they were talking about it plenty. Chris Collinsworth was talking about it plenty, is that you just see someone that has really matured in a lot of ways, and it just comes down to reps. Like the things that he's doing, just kind of he's honed in on as he's gotten more snaps, and that's it sounds so easy and so basic, and it's not because in part because of the people that he's throwing to. Like that has shifted around him, and that is really hard for any quarterback. I mean, we saw Aaron Rodgers and struggle with that last year, and Jordan Love has been like, not to just keep playing that comparison game, but he has been he has outperformed Aaron Rodgers last year by far. Like it's
Oh
not
yeah.
even close how the quarterback play has taken a big step up. So I think that to me is and it's football, but it is really reassuring to see him take these growth steps and become a better quarterback when guys have been in and out of the lineup. He's been without weapons during games where he's losing them. It doesn't matter. Like it, and I think again, they how they scripted the game too, they really relied on him to kind of set the tone. Let's play an aggressive game plan. And yeah, they faltered in the first opening drive, but once he got settled in, once the team got settled in, it didn't matter. He's making throws, he's making plays. Guys are making plays after the point of contact with throws. It was just as beautiful of offense that we've seen for the Packers this year. And again, against the Vikings on New Year's Eve, it's great.
Yeah, it was absolutely wonderful. Did you notice that they took a deep shot in the first play, just like they did last year, and it had the same
I
result?
did. Yep.
Like I was sitting there, I was like, "There's no way they're not chucking a deep first play." Like I think that was honestly the most predictable uh, play they could have called there, and I don't hate it. They went 3 down on the first drive, which isn't ideal, but I hate the call, just trying to maybe kickstart what they had at the end of at the beginning of last year. But yeah, to your point about Jordan Love outplaying uh, Aaron Rodgers from last year, it's without a doubt. Rodgers last year had 26 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, uh, just about 3,700 yards, and 542 attempts. Jordan Love, I don't think these stats are updated to last night's game. I know for sure the passing yards aren't, the touchdowns aren't, but 30 touchdowns, I believe, is what he's at right now. I think he eclipsed 3,600. I thought I had that. Maybe I had that tweet up at some point, but we'll go.
Wait, so he has 30 touchdowns to
Yep,
11 interceptions,
yep.
3,843 passing yards.
Thank you. PFF hasn't updated their season stats yet. But yeah, so now he's eclipsed Aaron Rodgers in yards, probably a similar amount of attempts. And he'll probably surpass that as well. But I mean, it's pretty cut and dry, right? Like Jordan Love is just playing better than Aaron Rodgers did last year. Which again, we don't want to spend a lot of time on this pod putting those two against each other because they're two vastly different scenarios and different opponents, different caliber of opponents, different weapons, and I guess what's the word? Experience of those weapons. Like, say what you will about Chris Watson being a rookie last year, he still had experience coming into this year that helped Jordan Love. Same thing with Romeo Dobbs, even though he's been iffy as of late. But I think the biggest difference is just this crop of rookies has been incredible. I don't like you have to applaud Goody's ability to draft these guys this year. We'll see what next year brings if they continue to have that upward trajectory. But this year has been an absolute masterclass in that draft because
Yes.
every single rookie that they drafted as a, I mean honestly, I'm trying to think of a single rookie that they drafted that hasn't really contributed. Lucas Van Ness has been good. He's been getting sacks and been getting pressures. Jaden Reed, obviously very good. Luke Musgrave, obviously very good. Tucker Kraft, obviously very good. Carl Brooks has been really good. So has Colby Wooden. Dontavion Wicks. Anders Carlson. I'm trying to think of who else. Like
It's
Carrington
honestly probably
Valentine. Like they've all been really good.
it's I think the only one that it's Lou Nichols, and that's part because he's not on a roster.
He got injured. Like he got injured in
Yeah,
training
Grant
camp.
DeBose,
Also got
he's
injured in training camp.
got injured. Anthony Johnson made some impact plays last night too. Like it's kind of stunning how fast a lot of these guys have hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, I mean, the offensive side, that's going to catch your attention. We have more stats that you refer to, like, hey, that guy's making, Luke Musgrave gets hurt. Maybe we'll see him next weekend. I don't know. But Tucker Kraft has been really good. And
Mm-hmm.
he's still that safety valve guy, like how he was last night. Jada Reed broke the rookie receiving receptions record set by Sterling Sharp. So, like, that's a fast performing
Really cool.
person right there. Really cool. Um, yeah, I think again, it's such a to have that like um installation of talent like that way where they're just hitting the ground running. That helps a lot. And it helps, again, that helps Jordan Love, who we think of him as a rookie in terms of inexperience, but he's not. He's far along of what to expect with playing in the NFL and kind of getting down the routine of everything. But yeah, to match that all that together and putting in just the skills that they have with this entire receiving core, and not just the I'm not discounting Tucker Kraft or Musgrave. I include them in there. It's been really great. And then you have Aaron Jones, who back to back. Did you see that stat last night? The first back to back 100-yard rusher, I think, since Ahman Green.
I did not see that. That's
That's
crazy.
wild. And like
No, I think Aaron Jones done it before. You keep talking about your point because I
mm,
think because Aaron Jones
I
has
don't think
done it.
Aaron Jones did.
Well, because I thought the stat that I saw was that Aaron Jones had done it. This is the first time he'd done it in like a while. So let me do some googling, and I'll try and find out.
Um, but I thought again, he kind of I was really worried of we saw how successful he was last week, and I thought that they would fall in the same trap of if he's not in the game plan right away, it's Aaron Jones is kind of be going to be a non-factor. And I obviously thought this game was going to be a lot more uh more tough sledding than what it ended up being. But I thought for what it was, it wasn't necessarily a carbon copy, but it was pretty damn close. Of just like Aaron Jones extending runs, 20 carries, 120 yards. Longest run of the day was 25, 6 yards per carry, like he did against Carolina. He was just fantastic. It's I we will play the kind of like what if game of the season depending on how next week goes. But the guy has it. And in a year where his body has been such a problem for him and trying to get back with the hamstring injuries, multiple hamstring injuries, and just having that over the like lowered over the course of the season, sucks from a standpoint of imagine if this team were healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if Aaron Jones was a prominent, contributor throughout this entire season.
Right.
It sucks that it hasn't been like that, but he's gotten healthy at the right time, and he's making Aaron Jones level like the production, at the right time. So
Yeah.
I can't really fault him for that. Also, he can still be the leading rusher for the Packers this year because he's at 545 yards. AJ Dillon's at 613, so he needs what, like 75 yards?
Yeah. And to offset whatever AJ Dillon gets next week as well. But
Exactly.
yeah,
Well, we'll see how AJ Dillon will be.
you are right if that's a stat that you heard about being the first back-to-back 100 rusher since Amon Green. I'm not sure what I saw that made me dispute that, but good on Aaron Jones. He had a lot of games that I saw, and like just going through his game log, where he went 2 for 3. He'd have 100 yards and then 30 yards and then 100 yards again. But yeah, I think that's incredible and sad at the same time.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, you kind of think of all the like Ryan Grant, I would have easily thought that based on his success, but he had a very weird kind of Packers career where he gets more prominent in playoff games and not during regular season games. You know what I mean? Like
right.
it's been a long road since the Packers have had like a running back that has stayed with them and been productive for a very long time
Uh,
since I'm on grade.
It always makes me laugh that we talk about Ryan Grant as a fan base as like this prominent, just amazing running back that they had. But he only played with them for like 4.5 seasons.
Yep.
And he wasn't even
And one of them he was fully hurt.
yeah, got hurt game one, like snap one of the
Yep.
Super Bowl season of 2010. And so that was the James Starks year. But yeah, he was a 1,000-yard rusher in his sophomore and junior seasons. And then got hurt, had another, I guess, stunted year. He only had 600 yards in his fourth year in 2011, but then that was it. Then he was done. It's just like, it's just funny to think about it that way. But yeah, you think about just how important Aaron Jones is to this team, and it's special. I was annoyed last night because I forget who the sideline reporter is. But she was talking about how she talked to Aaron Jones pregame, and
Melissa Stark.
Melissa Stark,
Yep.
and um, she was saying how Aaron Jones said this is the best he's felt all year. He feels healthy, feels good, and then not one play later, he goes down and was in the medical tent. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like,
Yep.
talk about a commentator's curse. Luckily, he did get back in the game and was just fine, fine enough to fight a Vikings player at the end of the game and try and de-escalate whatever that Vikings player and Dontavian Wicks are fighting about. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, just all around offensively, what a game! I can't say enough about Aaron Jones. 20 carries, 120 yards, like you had said, and just the. I think I forget who said it. It might have been Ryan Wood. That was a quiet 120. Like as long
I
as
don't think so.
I I don't
I
know.
mean, it is like the Panther game. He did not get in the end zone, so
Right.
there's no like exclamation point. But he was dicing through that defense
Oh,
so
right.
easily, so easily.
Yeah, but no, I know. I totally agree. Like that one. Like, you look at his average and it was 6. Like 6 yards per
Yeah,
carry is pretty darn good. And I feel like every time I watched him run the ball, he was just getting chunk plays, getting first downs, which is obviously very good. But I think that might have been just the point that you had, Jordan, is that he didn't get in the end zone, which is that exclamation point kind of
oh yeah,
like
yeah,
popping play that's like, oh, Aaron Jones is doing well. No, he was just grinding down this defense for all of 3 quarters, 4 quarters. So really
yeah.
good on Aaron Jones. Man, I'm just excited to watch this offense again. Like during the Giants and the Buccaneers game, it was kind of rough, but we've won on the road and it's come back for some reason.
Most yards in a game of the season, 470.
The Packers had.
Yep,
That's a plus. That is a
that
plus.
is a plus. Let me see. What is yards per play here? Let me bring that up here. But yeah, like
Gotta be
that
good.
to have everything work in concert with each other like that is like that just it's everything. 6.4 yards per play.
It's pretty good.
Um, yeah, and it's like, oh, yeah. I I don't want to get carried ahead or ahead of myself because it is we have just wanted to see this all year long. So when you see it work in full, and it's the nature of the game, and not everything's going to go to plan, but I just think that to put things together the way that they did, and then still you recognize that guys are getting hurt left and right. I don't know how many players ended up leaving the game yesterday, but it was
A few. Isaiah
Jaden
McDuffie,
Reed,
Jaden Reed, Aaron Jones
Isaiah,
for a minute,
Preston Smith
Preston Smith.
left, but then came back.
Yeah, he came back.
Yep. Um, yeah, just it's this kind of duality of just like everything's going great, but like what are they gonna have next week?
Yeah,
That's
right.
kind of where my brain is
Well,
getting.
that's the
And
offense in general. Like even the defense. Like we'll get the defense in a little bit, but even Eric Stokes went on IR on Saturday. Like
yeah, that exactly that.
you just
But
can't rely on anything.
no, I will say though when that news, it sucks because that's a bigger discussion of what the hell they're gonna absolutely do with him.
Right.
But when I saw it, I was like, so you have no Jair, no Stokes. You're going back to the secondary duo of Valentine and Valentine, who, yeah, I'm not saying that this is, the Packers secondary of the future, but when they were playing their best ball this year, those two corners were the only corners out on the field.
Yep.
They knew what they were doing. And yeah, Justin Jefferson scares the life out of me. But then you also
But
realize,
who's throwing the ball, kind of thing. But and we
yes,
can't even say that because we both picked Vikings wins on Thursday.
we did.
And
We
like
did.
I guess maybe that's ho hum on our part of being scared of lackluster quarterbacks after losing to one of them and almost losing to another last week. Like I think we were just been a little scared of what this defense was going to allow in a place where I think you said they were 2-6 all time.
Yep.
It was just everything stacked up to not being a good game, but it ended up being better than anticipated. Did we go through like Bull Melton, Jaden Reed at length? I think we mentioned them, but I don't think we talked about them We talked about
Let's do
We
it.
talked about Bull Mountain, I believe. But
I would, but still, like he's making big plays.
yeah,
I don't know, like I know they. I remember being intrigued by him when they picked him up late last year.
hmm
You see the speed, you see the RAS score, and everything like that, and then it's like, well, what? Can they mold him into something?
right.
And then Panthers game was like, he's converting big plays, he's making catches, might have better hands than some of the other freaking wide receivers on this team.
Yeah,
Um, Not naming names, rubber your dubs.
you can name another one
Um,
too if you'd like. 83.
well, he might be the likely cut because Bo
Right,
Melton's out of elevations.
right. And
Yeah,
I think the issue is, I should say the issue. Never mind. You know what? Just continue with your point. I'll talk later.
but to see him really come along, and it's the Packers draft and develop method. It extends even to guys that are undrafted or like these guys that they turn over the rosters. And yeah, you're not going to hit on everybody, but the Packers pedigree of finding these guys that, yeah, we hone in on the skill. Now let's elevate the rest of your game. Let's make you a productive player and everything like that. Like I think I'm looking at it right now. Bo Melton had 49 snaps last night. I believe if I was correct in seeing, he has had that is half of the snaps this year. He didn't play at all last year.
Right. I think Chris Collinsworth said it last night that, or Mike Trico, whoever it was who I was talking, but coming into last night, Bull Melton had 5 catches on the season. Last night he had 6.
Yes, yes. And it's like I again we that is not these are outlier things. Like that is not something I would
This isn't the
expect.
standard of any NFL team.
Yeah, to see it all come to fruition and in really big spots because as we talked about in the preview, these are essentially playoff games.
Yeah.
You're in knockout mode. If you lose, you falter, you're done. You're done. So to have that happen was just crazy. And then obviously Jaden Reed, 2 touchdowns. What did he finish with? I think it was 6 catches
6
for
catches,
89 yards.
Yep. Which he would have been the first 100-yard receiver had he not
Yes, he
gotten
would have.
injured. Like
Yeah.
he was feasting on that defense last night.
That touchdown where
Oh, so good.
it was a one brilliant play, brilliant route. He just crosses the middle of the field right in Jordan Love's like that's his bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
And Jaden Reed did like it's a good throw, but Jaden Reed that is a Jaden Reed touchdown.
Oh
That
yeah,
is not
1,000%.
it's and he's a small guy, so you don't necessarily think of him as this kind of like oh he'll break through the point of contact and tackles.
Right.
But
But he
there
do.
are a lot of moments last night I'm watching these Vikings players who this is a good defense. Like
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not saying that they're 86 or 85 Bears level, but if anything, considering everything that's been going wrong on the offensive side of the ball, that defense has carried them to the point where they were at least in the mix for a playoff berth until last night. Um, and Jay Reed is going through all these tacklers. Like there were so many bad tackles from the Vikings last night that was like in crazy, and that play was just kind of the epitome of. I think he broke through like 5 tackles or at least 6 defenders to get to the end zone. Like that guy is a baller. I'm I just love the way that they've already really kind of honed in on how he can make this offense work and click. And he does it in so many different ways. Now, he's not a great punt returner, but not everybody's perfect.
Yeah. I think they just gotta find a different one. Like they'll find somebody
They
else
do.
next year, or figure out whoever's gonna do it next year and just have them practice it. But
Yeah.
on Bull Melton, just he has a lot of the same tenacity as Malik Heath does. He runs really good routes. He has a lot of energy, and just has sure hands, which is like what exactly you want in your receiver. I'm not blaming him or Jordan Love on that fourth down play where they went deep to try and convert it, but went like he should have caught it, but should have been a better throw. Is kind of like where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
Ended up not mattering in the context of the game, but I think both of those are just mistakes that will be refined with snaps and time. Like Jordan Love learns
Yeah.
to throw that ball better. Bull Melton knows that can catch that ball better too soon enough. And so, but yeah, on Jaden Reed, I was just looking. I was like, could Jaden Reed get Offensive Rookie of the Year? And I was like, no. CJ Stroud exists. And then I was looking at other ones, and like, no.
Jordan Addison.
Puka Nakua.
Yeah, but I think honestly, I think it's Nakua.
I think CJ Stroud will get it if the Texans beat the Colts to make the playoffs next week. Because the Colts and Texans face each other. The Colts are currently in the playoff picture, like currently in the playoffs at the season ended today. The Texans are out of it,
Yeah.
so the Texans need to win next week to get in.
The moment is there that they would probably.
Yeah, well, I think it's honestly either or. Like you could, I think it's between CJ Stroud and Puka Nakua, but that's not a discussion for this. But I was like looking, like maybe Jaden Reed could sneak away with it. No, it doesn't have. I think Puka Nakua has literally double the yards that that Jaden Reed does.
To circle back on a point that I made with the Vikings tackling, I'm looking at PFS grades right now. 14 missed tackles.
Sheesh. Well, 7 of
14.
those came on that Jaden Reed touchdown.
Exactly. But yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah,
Pretty
like
wild.
it was just like on the Jamie touchdown. That dude is just so good. Like he really, if you're of a certain age, which I'm guessing most of our listeners are, you remember Chris Berman rumbling, bumbling, stumbling in for a touchdown. That was Jaden Reed. That catch broke a bunch of tackles, made guys miss, and then
What? He did what?
and then
It was actually Al Michael.
yes, in our intro. Weirdly
Yes,
enough,
there you go.
but yeah, like he just carried a few guys in the end zone, reaches the ball over and scores. Like it was such an incredible touchdown. Like it just, I was telling Jordan pre-pod, after the Thanksgiving game, I put on my Christmas list Jaden Reed jersey, this exact one, and I'm hoping I get it. I haven't gotten those. I haven't visited that family yet,
Were
but
you a good boy?
we'll see. We'll see if Santa's delayed. I think he missed my house, honestly. But regardless, no, I'm just very excited about Jaden Reed. Obviously, 17 weeks in, I think it's fair to say that we've been excited and we're still excited. But, geez Louise, what a performance from him and Bull Melton. So, very good that way. Should we move on to the defense? Let's see if anything else.
No, I think it's defense talk because they're doing it again. When you least expect it, it's the Dumb and Dumber gift.
Yeah,
You somehow redeem yourself for a week.
yeah, for a week. Like it's gonna be interesting. But there was a lot of praise for Joe Barry after this game from the franchise, from Matt LaFleur, from Kenny Clark. Had some few words for him, calling up good blitzes. But they hold a Vikings offense to 10 points through the game, and 3 points through 3.5 quarters. I guess 3 in the third quarter. I think they scored like 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then the Packers went on that very, very long drive to score a touchdown again, or kick a field goal, I believe it was. Which honestly, Jordan, that might be the first time we've seen a absolute just dismantling of the clock in the fourth quarter all season. Like, remember, like they couldn't do it against the Falcons, they couldn't do it against the Panthers. I might be remiss to remembering when the last time it was this season that they really took the clock down from like early in the fourth quarter to then late in the fourth quarter enough to where there was no chance they'd come back. Because the Vikings score a touchdown with 14:06 left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Packers get the ball and then run 8 minutes off the clock and return and give the ball back to the Vikings with 6 minutes and 11 seconds to go. They ran 8 minutes off the clock. Am I misremembering? I don't remember the time in this season they've had that long of a drive in the fourth quarter. Because it wasn't like the game was totally out of reach. They were up 20.
I would say.
I would say it was with this team.
But yeah, I know what you mean.
But
I know
like,
what you mean.
this is giving
Been
a
through this
lot more
before.
credit to Nick Mullens than he probably deserves. But the difference between
Is
Jaren Hall and Nick Mullens is that Nick Mullens can throw the ball. Like
yeah,
he has the ability to make big plays like that. And if they were going to get going between Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, they have the ability to do that. If this Packers defense was going to act like it had in other games in this scenario against the Falcons, against the Panthers, et cetera, et cetera. And so for the offense to be able to go on this long drive and just not allow the team to get back on track, I think was a blessing in disguise for the defense, frankly. And
yeah,
I don't think it was likely, but I wasn't really wanting to test that theory.
yeah. I mean, it is the biggest margin of victory the Packers have had this year. I would maybe equate it to the Bears game, the first one, where the defense is making impact plays.
Yeah,
They're disrupting. They're creating turnovers. Obviously, in that game, they had a touchdown. Jordan Love was a very different quarterback then than he was yesterday. So it's not a clean comparison by any means. But in terms of just kind of ass kicking, which it was, that would be the game. But there,
oh yeah,
to your point, there's not a lot of them. Even the Rams game against Brett Ripien, 20-3. It wasn't a very. It was yeah, you got there, you got to the finish line, but it was not a
right,
convincing sprint.
right.
This was like after the opening drive, this is going all the way. You're just shooting down and outlasting everybody else.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Daniel Willen had 2 punts the entire game. I think they both came in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. The first drive and looks like it was, yeah, at the end of the second quarter. So, all in all, just good stuff from obviously the defense and I guess the offense is getting there. But yeah, the defense just played so well. They had turnovers that Corey Ballantyne had a pick. I
Hmm.
think it was on a Munt deflection. I'm trying to see. Yeah, is it Jordan Munt or is it? I forget his first name.
Johnny.
Johnny. Johnny. Like it's from the 50s. I don't know who goes by only Johnny anymore. Anyways, but then yeah, Corey Ballantyne interception in the first quarter, and then um, a a forced fumble by I believe it was Preston Smith, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
What a game for Preston Smith. I'm trying to navigate ESPN's box score here, but Preston Smith only one tackle but had a full sack as well, and he had a bunch of pressures. Oh, that's a good. Do they have pressures up on PFF?
I do.
I have to imagine how many pressures did Preston Smith have?
Let's
Four,
see. Four.
four. That's he played so well. Like Rashawn Gary himself had 8 pressures,
Eight
which is crazy. Not getting home once, but
on 34 snaps.
that's insane. But even 29 snaps from Preston Smith and gets 4 pressures, 2 hits, a hurry, and a sack. Like that's just absolute masterclass work from Preston Smith.
Yeah, again, this is a complete performance, all phases, even losing your starting linebacker of the night with Isaiah McDuffie, and hopefully everything's well with him because that was a pretty brutal injury.
Yeah, really like just a tough play to be involved in. He was the middleman of a sack, and I think he got 2 helmets into his helmet, one on each side. Like,
mm,
yeah, I'd be feeling a little bit woozy after that too. And I think it says enough that he got carted back rather than walked back. So
yeah,
hopefully he's all good. I would not expect him to play next week.
yes. But I think Matt Schneeman had a stat of no team has had more pressures or players with registered pressures than the Packers defense
It,
did last night.
it was Matt.
Um, that's crazy. And that's the thing too, is that not to relitigate Joe Barry discourse, but the most frustrating part about this is that you see when changes need to be made, he will make changes. He will do things to, you know, wreak havoc. That's what the Packers did last night defensively. They were wreaking havoc. They were making plays. Yeah, the interception wasn't necessarily it was more of a crossing route, and the guy's hand bumps the ball in the air, and Corey Ballantyne, made a very good heads up play. But beyond that, it's getting home repeatedly. They again, this is a good Vikings offensive line. It had not been how we had talked about past Vikings offensive lines, and they made mincemeat of them. And secondary, Justin Jefferson finished with what, five? I think it's 5 catches for 48 yards.
Yep.
Yeah, I
50,
and I
59 yards.
59 yards. I know it's Jaren Hall and Nick Mullens. That's a big caveat, but still, like, you could easily say, oh, well, it's against Corey Ballantyne and Carrington Valentine. Like,
Right.
the similar level of players that we're talking about, in terms of just kind of what you expect.
Hmm.
That's where, like, this deep, like, I don't know. It's the Joe Barry talk of it. That is going to be, regardless of what happens next week, it's people are enough has been shown that like people want changes, people want this, people want that. Whether those changes actually get exercised, I don't know. I don't think it matters either. They make the playoffs and bow out in the first round. I don't think it really matters because kind of there's been enough momentum. But to me, even in this, if you want to call it lame duck kind of period that we're entering, if we go down that route, the problem is that it's like Joe Barry, what's wrong with the defense, and you can fix it when you want to. You know what I mean? And whether these, it's clear that like the defense responds to playing in division games, playing
That's
against
what I was gonna
rivals.
say. Like,
They do that, but they've also like when their backs are against the wall, when they allow 30 points to the Carolina Panthers who got shut out and David Tepper's throwing a drink at a Jaguars fan. You know what I mean? Like that is that happens and they finally like have muster up a good response of like, no, we can play above what people are starting to expect of us or have come to expect with us when we look at the talent on that side of the ball, especially on the front four or front seven even, and know that this is a better team than what they put out consistently. And they just that's where I was like, they're just do this, do it all the time. Like you don't have to do it all the time. We expect like you're not going to do it against the they did against the Lions, so I can't say the Lions, but
right.
like better teams. But the defense just showed out and balled out in a very convincing way that it just makes everything else just so much more frustrating that you can't see this all the time.
No, I totally agree. I have 2 points to make here, and they're separately of each other. But I was looking at PFF's pressures last night. So according to the PFF, the only players who didn't have pressures last night were the cornerbacks. Every
Yeah,
single defensive player had a pressure last night, except for Eric Wilson, who came in replace of Isaiah McDuffie after he went out with his concussion. But the players who didn't have pressures last night were Jonathan Owens, Anthony Johnson Jr., uh, Corey Valentine, Darnell Savage, and Carrington Valentine, and then again Eric Wilson. But like that's an absolute dismantling of an offensive line throughout that entire game, which is absolutely incredible. But to your point that you had mentioned, that's the point I was going to make too, is that it's weird that I shouldn't say it's weird, but it's frustrating that Joe Barry can dial up defenses and good defensive performances against division opponents, but not against anybody else. Because, like, think about the Bears games from last year. Like, they played very well. They beat him twice. Think about the second Viking game last year. Like, again, dismantling.
played a while. They
They
played.
think about it this year. The first Bears game, they played very well against the Bears. First Lions game was not great, but I think it had a lot to do with the offense not being able to keep up as well. But still, the Lions are just good. That's just what's going to happen sometimes. But then you look at the second Lions game, and they do very well. Look at the second Vikings game; they do very well.
So I have a theory to this
Okay,
because I think this is also a Jordan Love thing where he clearly responds better in second games. Like the Bears game is we don't know yet because they haven't
Yeah,
played
is
them the second time.
withstanding, but
But first line's game was not great. First Vikings game was even more not great. Then puts in these big performances. The Chiefs game, yes, I'm pulling a game from 2 years ago, but his first start comes against the Chiefs. It goes as expected under a short week, and then this year, fast forward 2 years, and more starts under his belt, he looks better. Like there is something to having tape that they can rely on of like, oh, that's yeah, I mean, like we know how you match up, we know this play, we know that play very well, and we can defend it a lot better than just having, okay, this is what they did in week 8 versus this opponent, rather than, that kind of thing.
mhm. Yeah, I would agree with that. Like it's pretty obvious that if there's tape,
What I'm trying to say is I think we should lobby to the NFL that the Packers play all their division opponents 6 times.
or just play in weeks 1 through 3, and
Yeah,
then
just keep playing over and over.
get early tape on the Lions, the Vikings, and the Bears, and then play them weeks 16, 17, 18 to end the season when they need them the most. But yeah, like I just think that I don't think this game saves Joe Barry's job.
No,
I think there's a an argument to be had, which I hate. But if like we'll talk more about the Bears on Thursday when we do our preview pod, but the Bears are
we will.
very good at the moment. They're playing very well. Depending on how the defense performs against the Bears, depending on how they perform in the playoffs, they make it. If they win the playoffs with a good defensive performance, we might be looking at an unfortunate reality. That reality being Joe Barry getting a new contract in Green Bay, which, again, not a nice thing to say about somebody who's needs a job, but it's performance based, and the rose-colored glasses could for sure be donned on Matt LaFleur and Goody's face if the last 3 games they have to make a decision is this Vikings win, a dominant Bears win, and a playoff win. I think it makes the rest of the bad performances be like you just forget about them because they're so far away. You know what I mean? It's a the NFL has always been a what have you done for me lately league. And if the end of the season comes and they go 3-1 in their last 4 with 3 dominant performances on defense, what does that say? But
Yeah.
I do hope, I should say, the front office has a bit more insight to that than we are giving them at the moment, because this game is contextually against Jaren Hall and Nick Mullens and
Yes.
Alexander Madison, who's not good, and Tyson Chandler,
No.
who isn't that good either. So you're thinking about sort of what this defense was going against. It wasn't inspiring. But then you look at the same thing against the Panthers last week, and it wasn't inspiring again. So like I should say, it was inspiring against the Vikings this week, given the talent. It wasn't inspiring against the Panthers, given their talent. So there's a reality here, Jordan, and I wish to not live in that reality, but we just have to be mindful of it.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Who else? We're missing people on the defense side of the ball. Jonathan Owens has been playing quietly very well this season, like the last stretch of games for sure. Donald Savage has been having a good time too, but like
Having him back was very
very important.
necessary.
But I think Jonathan Owens I think it was Munt caught a ball, and then Jonathan Owens went and punched it out. I think late in the second quarter, on like a little pass in the flat. Whatever it was, but he's just been making quality plays, which is really all you ask for from him at this point. Just not give up big plays, which is good. Jonathan Owens was the 4th highest rated player on PFF. Again, for what it's worth for PFF's grades at this point in their existence.
Corey Ballentine too, like
Yeah,
targeted 9 times, allowed 3 catches for 33 yards.
that's crazy.
I was he's been he's been good. I that's the thing is that part of the frustration level with the defense is that when you put in, I'm not going to call them replacement level players, but they're lower draft picks. These are guys that have bounced around, or they're not they're not with the ones, and some of them are not even with twos going into the year. They have stepped up and made plays and stepped up when the Packers have played their best, form of football.
Yeah,
And again, that's not nothing to me. That was why when the Eric Stokes thing happened, I was like, it sucks for him, but also does that help or hurt? Like I don't, and everything else with Jair too, because him playing suddenly against the Panthers and then everything else happening over the course of the week. You know, it's all about informed players. Like what are they doing? What have you done for me lately? Kind of thing again.
right.
And that's not nothing. That's not something you dismiss as much as you look at the more talented players and be like, oh yeah, we'll just seamlessly fit them into the lineup and you're fine.
Hmm.
It's like no, they have kind of something working here, and you just want to see it continue on and on.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think this year has been such a great example of. I mean, I should say example. What the plan that Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur had put into place of letting the young guys play and just seeing what you have with your young team has worked out well at this point in time. I think there's still stuff to be learned about how they play against higher class opponents. Like depending on where they finish this year, if they win, they'll finish second in the NFC North,
Yep.
and that would mean they face like obviously the second tier teams next year whenever they get their schedule. The other second place division earners, winners, what do you want to call them, and that'll be another test, right? That'll be another test to see what this team looks like against just in general better teams. At this
Yep.
point next year, if depending on who they play, I forget what division they play, but if they play the NFC, did they play the NFC East last year? Yeah, they did because they faced the Eagles and the Cowboys and everything. So I don't
Yep.
think they'll face them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they make a special game against the NFC East and throw them against the Eagles or the Cowboys. And those are two very good teams. And seeing how they perform against those high quality teams will be important to watch. But for
Yeah.
all intents and purposes, like the young kids, they're men, the rookies on this team have played very well. The rookies on this team, the second year guys on this team, it's just been inspiring. And I know that you and I had kind of hemmed and hawed over this decision to go young at this point in Jordan Love's career and progression. Even during the losing stretch, I know we had some strong words about the decision to not bring in a veteran receiver really hurt that stretch of games. 17 games in or no, 16 games in the season, it looks pretty good. Guys just need to get snaps, and they've gotten better with snaps. And it's hard not to have those deductions because you only get 17 of these games, and so you try to make
Yep.
you generally make big assumptions after each game. We're not we're guilty of that, and
We're
so
not
is
immune.
we're not immune, and neither is all of NFL media, frankly.
Yeah.
And so it's just relieving to see it actually work out how they want to work out. But as Matt LaFleur said in his postgame yesterday, none of it matters if they don't win next week. So we'll see.
Yep. 2 years in a row, they're going to enter the final week of the season with a win and you're in
Yep.
situation. And
Um,
they fumbled it last year, but a lot has
against
changed since then.
against the team that was eliminated the week before.
The week of.
The week of, yes. The Lions were the day of.
Yeah.
The Bears just got eliminated last night. So,
With the Packers
with the
winning,
Packers
I'm
winning.
assuming.
Yeah.
Because especially with they had lost the Saints, so they don't have the tiebreaker there either.
Yep.
So
So, the Bears have something to play for, and that's to spoil the Packers season. And there's nothing that team would like
in
more.
their stadium too.
Right, exactly. But also worth noting that the Packers have had a meaningful game week the last week of the season every year, Matt LaFleur's era. He's had they were playing for a playoff spot last year and now this year, and they had made the playoffs 3 years in a row by week 17 in his era. So good on Matt LaFleur for playing through the rest of the season and
Yep.
getting guys up. So talk about 2 minutes about your boy.
Anders? Anders?
Yep.
Let me look at what he did again. 'Cause I
He
just
made
saw it
2 field goals and made 3 of 4 extra points.
That's we take the good with the bad.
I
They're
believe he is the leading
Are you
person
serious?
in missed extra points this year.
I don't think that's actually true.
I'm pretty sure they said it was on the broadcast
true?
last night. It might be.
The only reason why I don't know is because the Rams keep missing extra points as well. But they also switch kickers. So
Let me see. Let me see. Well, yeah, by like
Um,
um individual guys.
yeah.
It's not gonna tell me, is it? Probably not. But yeah, I think he's missed 5 now, which is obviously not great.
No, I would not say it is, but also, yeah, we're gonna get into our predictions sometime soon here after the dust has settled. Um, he's currently 83.9% on field goals this year.
Which
Um,
83 is not bad.
that's not bad at all. That's real. That is for a rookie kicker. I would say that's the optimal outcome.
Yeah.
That is above average. So, yeah, they have weathered the storm. 86.5% on extra points this year. It's always that damn 30 to 39.
He is the leader in the clubhouse of missed extra points with 5. No one else has more than 3. So, it's fine. Mason Crosby kind of screwed us yesterday after missing a 50-yard kick that had no chance to lose against the Seahawks, against the who they play? The Rams. The Giants lost against the Rams.
Yes, they did, which is another playoff relevant game.
Yep, but it doesn't matter. Packers need to win next week and they're in because the Seahawks lost. So that's good. That's very good.
Can I one more?
Hold on. I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you. Do you remember Wisconsin running back Dare Ogunbowale?
Yes.
He has a field goal made this year.
Yeah, the Texans.
I had it.
Yeah.
Just saw this. Like, what? I did. Okay, sorry. Did the kicker get hurt or something? And he's the emergency kicker?
Yeah, he was the emergency kicker.
I did not know that. That's
I
crazy.
want to finish with this. I'm looking at the PFF grades, and I'm going to just say I disagree with a lot of these ones. What I'm about to talk about. I thought the offensive line was really good last night. I mean, it's kind of evident when you have the most total yards in a game
Yeah.
that you're doing something right with the offensive line. But I just thought no sacks for Jordan Love, rushing, the run blocking, especially there's a lot of big holes for Aaron Jones just to scamper through.
Yep.
I was really impressed by how they played against a Vikings team that has disruptors.
And
That's all.
I guess I see. Oh my.
Yeah, I'm looking at the grades right now and they're not really I don't feel like they're really reflective of
What actually happened?
yeah. But
Yeah.
highest offensive lineman graded was Zach Thomas at 77.2.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm not really sure. Like it's like I'm with you on that. Like I'm with you on that. That's
Yeah.
a little weird. No sacks allowed. Not a lot of pressures. Like I'm looking at Josh Myers had 6 pressures, which is crazy. 15 total pressures. I'm not really none of them. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. So, all right, folks. Jordan, do you have anything else?
I I'm just happy that they won. I'm happy that we're not talking about week 18 that does not mean anything.
Yep.
But now I'm like, We can't do last year. They
Mm-hmm.
need to win. They need to win.
I'm with you. They got to. Maybe we'll get our first playoff game. That'd be cool.
Ooh.
That'd be cool.
And it doesn't necessarily just because they win that they won't be automatically the seventh seed. They have the tiebreaker over the Rams.
I. Oh, the Rams clinched,
Yes,
but they're not locked into the seventh
they're
seed.
not locked
Or
in.
not locked into the sixth seed. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yep.
Um, we're not wrapping up, folks. I want to see what the standings are right now, and see what the playoff picture looks like. Niners locked up the 1 seed last night or yesterday after the Eagles embarrassingly lost to the frickin' Cardinals. Cowboys 2, Lions 3, Bucks 4, Eagles 5, Rams 6. Packers currently in the 7th spot. Interest. I mean, honestly, maybe we would get to pod with Malcolm and Tyler again if the Lions make it. That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
That'd be
I
fun.
think,
We'd have a little more genuine.
yeah, we would have
bit of a more
know what
genuine
we're actually
pod.
talking about with this Packers.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Or if they are the seventh seed and things stand the way that they are,
They go to Dallas. Face Mike McCarthy. I think
old friend,
that would be a scary game. I don't think
I would not.
We can't really doubt the Packers at this point because they've been playing so well on offense, but golly, that's a really good both sides of the ball. CD Lamb just went 12 for 250.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Which might heighten my chances of wanting to see the Lions more if they get to this. These are
We have a week to go. We did all this last year. We faced the Lions and lost.
we got to bear down. We got to bow down.
Got bow down. Can't say bear
bow
down.
down.
Can't say bear down.
I know. That's why it said. We got to bow down, and we are going to turn the Chicago Bears into Bear Bo Pelton. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Let's end the pod.
Are we wrapping?
Wrap.
All right, folks. Jordan said it. We're wrapping up. Thank you all for listening in 2023. We really, really appreciate it. We all hope here at GSPN that you guys have a wonderful year as well. Wonderful 2024. GSPN doing big things. We had, I think, our most listens and downloads ever last year. So big things coming up for the network, obviously. And that's all thanks to you guys listening to us and supporting all of the pods. So, again, thank you to all of you guys for sticking with us and just being fans. So, we appreciate it. That being said, go check out Eurostep and 1 in 6 on the Bucks feed. The Bucks play today against Indiana Pacers.
It's a spicy meatball.
It is a spicy meatball. I believe at home, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is. Thank God.
Yep. And so I'm sure Ty and Rohan will have a pod out very soon, either post game today or early tomorrow morning, Tuesday, as you're listening to this, about that game, and hopefully Rohan's enemy. Why am I forgetting his name? Johnson. What's his first name? The enforcer that the Pacers signed.
Jalen Johnson?
No, not him. It's
sorry, no. Oh my God. James Johnson.
James Johnson. I was like, I know it's
Old
Johnson.
Man brain.
Well, that and that friend of the pod, James Johnson, doesn't become an enemy of the pod. He'll never be an enemy of the pod for reasons lore-wise. You have to listen to Eurostep about. Go back a year and a half at least, I think, at this point. But anyways, go check out the Eurostep and 1 in 6 on the Bucks feed. It is now 2024. Obviously, the Brewers are 3 months away from playing baseball. That's very exciting. And go check out Adam McGee and Andrew Snyder's analysis on Cruising for a Bruising. Check out all things Brewers during the doldrums of this offseason. And then check out Adam and Andrew as well on Make Time for This. And just go back through their catalog and find a movie you like and check out all the pods. These are a lot more evergreen than most of our pods here on GSPN, but they're pretty darn good. So go check out that feed and let's get Make Time for This popping this year. That'd be a fun thing to have for sure.
Make sure you make time for this.
That's right. That's
There
right.
we go.
All right, folks. Thank you again for everything that you guys do for us and listen in general. We appreciate it. And Jordan, thank you.
Thank you.